Okay, guys, I want to show you something that I did with my speed loaders. But first, I want to show you my Taurus 605 Poly 357 Magnum. This is a 5-shot revolver. I want to show you that this one is empty. So we got this weapon cleared. And what you're looking at is my pants laid out on here. So you can see how I carry sometimes, where I'll have the speed loaders here. Now, one of the things about these speed loader things, like for instance, this one is one unit, but it's got two holsters for the speed loader. What I did to make it so it doesn't snag is I put in these little cups right here. So what these little cups do is it prevents snagging when I pull out the speed loader. See how smooth it comes out? Now, if you didn't have these in, excuse the dogs, if you didn't have these in, what would happen is you would pull, and sometimes it would snag. It would snag right here, or it would be sideways or something like that. So what this does is this eliminates the movement that it could have and the snagging. So notice that it can't move when it's got a flat base. It can't move this way or this way. And when you pull it out, there's nothing to snag at all. So when you reach for it and you want it to get it out, then it's ready to go. Another thing about SKS speed loaders that I have to tell you is sometimes they do bind. What I mean by binding is when you're loading the revolver, and you got your index finger on the top of that bullet there, and you've got it in a 3 o'clock position because of this rubber right here so that it can go in better. When you're like this now, and you're letting gravity do its work, sometimes when you turn this, sometimes it can bind where it gets stuck and it won't release. And I found out that the solution to the problem of this SKS one that binds on me sometimes is doing it quickly. So when I started doing it faster, it stopped binding on me. And where it binds is 357 Magnum cartridges are the ones that bind, the ones that are longer. So I'll twist it and sometimes they'll get stuck. But I found out that if I just go really quick like this with a lot of force, I can get them in without binding. So when you turn this, turn it with authority. Don't just turn it, but turn it with some force, some torque. Add some torque to it. Now the thing about SKS and using a revolver like this that's got rubber in the way, I want to show you something here. SKS these weren't designed to push the bullets in and force them to go in. It wasn't designed like that. It was designed so that if your cylinders are lined up properly, like I got them here, I got the 3 o'clock position right here where you'll see an indentation where a single round would go in right here. And notice that my thumb is on the flute and my index finger is on the flute. So I naturally know where to start because I can just grab the flutes right here. But my index finger is on the top of the first part of the bullet. And when I go in like this, I don't want to push. This is not a pushing system where you push and then press it. This is a release system, which means gravity, okay? You're going to use gravity. So I'm coming in like this, and just as the tip of the bullets get in the holes, you don't have to force it all the way in. That's going to bind it too. So you want to have it just so the bullets are just inside the holes. And then like that. That's all you have to do. Because I think some people get confused with speed loaders where they think that a couple things they think about HKS speed loaders. The first thing they think is that this is a handle. This is not a handle. This is a release system. This is not a handle. That's not how you grab it. How you grab it is like this. You got your index finger on the tip of that first bullet so you can guide it in. This is how you hold it, not like this. Okay, you hold it like this. This is not a handle, it's a release device. That's what it's for. It's for releasing, not a handle. So when you go into your revolver, like this Taurus, for instance, once again, notice that my thumb and my index finger are in the flutes, which naturally lines up that first cylinder at the 3 o'clock position where you would single load rounds right here. Notice that they have a divot right here, or a little depression in there. That was designed that way purposely so that if you wanted to load a single round, you could do it in the 3 o'clock position right here. So notice when I'm coming in with the speed loader now, I'm not using the release device as a handle. What I'm using is I'm using my middle finger and thumb and then my index finger at the tip of the bullet right here. Now, as soon as I come in now, and I notice that the tip of the bullet is inside the holes, then I can release it right away. Whoops, I screwed up on that one. I'm watching through the camera, so it's hard for me to see what I'm doing here. Let me do this one more time. So what I'm saying is that let gravity do the work. Let gravity do the work. Do not push it in, okay? Do not push it in. Don't go like this and then expect to push it all the way in like that. Just get right here where you just got the tips of the bullets where they're right inside the holes. Just like that. And I screwed up on that one again too. But anyway, these are snap caps. These are very lightweight. And actually the 158 grain round nose bullets go on the best. 357 Magnum. Sometimes you have to be careful because they're a little bit longer. But let me do this again. So because I'm on camera, I can't see always exactly what I'm doing. But gravity, you're going to be using gravity. So you're going to be like this when you're reloading. And your index finger is going to be here. You're going to be like this. And your index finger can tell when you hit the cylinder. So like right now, I can tell my index finger is hitting that cylinder, which means I just got a little bit to clear. So the bullets are inside the holes. All I got to do is twist it like that, and I'm in. See what I mean? Rather than expecting to push this in. Okay, the Safariland ones, you could probably push them in and hit the release mechanism, which is the push down type. But these HKS are not like that. HKS are designed to twist, not to push. So you got to use gravity and let it go in. And these are inexpensive. You can have a lot of these on you, and you can buy snap caps and you can practice your reloads. So you can fire 5 shots. You know, when your 5 shots are done, you could load up a bunch of these speed loaders with snap caps and you can practice. But then you have to remember you have to practice with the real rounds too, because some of the 357 Magnum ones are a little bit longer. So every bullet's got a different profile as far as the lead part of the bullet and even the casing. Like for instance, these are 38, whereas 357 Magnum's a little bit longer. So you practice with the real thing, but once you open the revolver now, notice that my index finger and my thumb are on the flutes. So I'm always at the 3 o'clock position, which means that I'm less likely to get jammed up right in this rubber part right here. Some people remove this part of the rubber so that they can just push them in. But I just left it as it is because I can work with it. So when the revolver's down like this and I'm loading, I can drop them in with no problem. So the rubber is no problem for me because I'm in the 3 o'clock position. But not only that, the HKS loader, I'm not expecting to push them all the way in. All I want is the head of the bullet to be somewhat inside the hole so I can just simply release the HKS. So once again, the binding thing, some HKS speed loaders like this one in particular with 357 Magnum, I had been having a problem with not being able to release them even after I twisted it. So what would happen is I would twist it. I would be in like this. I would twist it, but then it was all the way twisted over. And I thought it was going to release, but it didn't. But I found out what the problem was, is that this particular speed loader here, all I had to do was just have more force. So when you're twisting the HKS speed loader, twist with authority, with force. So that way you can make sure that you get loaded. And I think I'll grab some 357 Magnum now to show you the binding that I was having. And sometimes you can fix the binding by looking right in here. You see that ball bearing and stuff? Sometimes you can do stuff in here. You can lubricate it, or you can file down this part here, whatever inhibiting it from releasing. So there are some things you can do. But I found out that I just have to release it with authority, and then it works. A little more force. So let me get 5 rounds so I can demonstrate for you. Okay, so 357 Magnum round. Notice obviously it's longer than a 38. So that's why we need to practice with live rounds too, not just the dummy rounds, because every bullet profile is different. You got hollow points, you got, semi-jacketed soft points, 158 grain like these are. Now, this is the only bad, I wouldn't say bad HKS speed loader that I have, but the one that's finicky is this one. That's why it's black up here, so I know which one it is. But anyway, I'm going to show you something here. So I'm here feeling for the holes, right? And I'm twisting. Okay, notice how it's binding. I've twisted, but I can't get them free. But if I do it quickly, I can get it to work. So the key with the HKS2 is when you're twisting, twist with authority, twist with force. Don't just twist it really light. You want to be aggressive with it, okay? You want to be aggressive with your twist. So when I'm coming in like this, I want to be aggressive. See, like that. It didn't bind on me. Whereas if I would have done it slower, I would have twisted it all the way to the right and nothing would happen. And now you've got something binding and you can't release the rounds. So let me show you. Let's see if I can get it to bind. I might have broken it in too, so it's probably working better now. I might have broken it in enough. But let me show you if somebody had been doing it slow, okay? Somebody's putting it in here, they're lining up the holes, now they're going to do it slow. Okay, right there, it just bound on me. Or binding, I don't know if bound's a word, but it's binding. But notice I can still get them in, but I have to fiddle with it a little bit. And you shouldn't have to fiddle with it. You should just go one time, far to the right with much force and get them in. So this HKS speed loader, maybe there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe it just needs to be broken in a little bit because the ball bearing in the part right here that sits on top of the ball bearing, maybe it just needs to break in a little bit because it's binding. But it doesn't bind on me when I do it with force. So I found out that when I'm twisting to the right, I want to do it with a lot of force, not a little force, but a lot of force. So once again, I got my index finger on the tip of the bullet, so that way I can feel what I'm doing. Okay, I know that I'm in the holes, but I'm not going to push it in. Okay, I'm not pushing it in. I'm just gently resting it like that. See? Like that. And it goes in, no problem. Notice that the rubber isn't inhibiting one of the bullets because I got it in the 3 o'clock position because my thumb and my index finger is on the flute. So let me show you if it isn't like that. If it isn't like that, what happens is if you're not in the 3 o'clock position like this, let me show you what could happen. Okay, I'm going to turn the cylinder a little bit. Okay, I'm not in the 3 o'clock position, which is right there. I'm right here now. Watch this. You see that right there? See the rubber? The rubber is stopping this bullet from going in. Let's try this one. This one, there isn't a problem. So the problem area of this revolver is right in this area right here when you're not in the 3 o'clock position. But if you're in the 3 o'clock position, look, it drops right in. And notice how I get the 3 o'clock position correctly. how I get it to line up perfectly without even looking. I don't even have to look at it. Okay, I'm not looking at it. Watch this. I'm not looking at it. I'm just going to grab the flutes with my thumb and my index finger. Voila, check that out. I'm in the 3 o'clock position right now. See that? Goes right in. If I was grabbing this revolver, opening the cylinder, and I was on the high spots right here, and I wanted to go 3 o'clock position, let's try that. Okay, probably will still work. But let's say that I was right here and I was trying to get that bottom hole. Okay, notice where my thumb is. It's a little bit off the flute. Right there. See, that's not going in. Now it's going in. So notice the times that it goes in 100% of the time is when my index finger is in one flute and my thumb is in the other. But this is a 5-shot revolver. I don't know what you guys are going through with your 6-shot revolvers. But so the problem areas of this revolver as far as the rubber is, notice that even in the 3 o'clock position, you still have something that's inhibiting that 357 Magnum from going in right in this area here. You still have something there. This area, you don't really have anything. So it's always going to be one hole that's going to cause you some problems, even if it is in the 3 o'clock position, which is why you want to practice doing things different ways. Like I was saying, if you got 357 Magnum here and you're speed loading, if you grab the flutes like you're supposed to, then you don't have to worry about that one area of rubber that's going to inhibit that round from going in. Or you could trim it down. Some people do. Okay, notice once again my thumb and my index finger. Okay, I'm going to point the revolver down. I'm going in. Okay, drops right in. Notice I didn't have any problems with the rubber here. So I just wanted to show that to you guys because there was a couple people on my channel that in my comment section that made some good points, about some of the speed loaders that they used, and they also commented on the interesting thing about the 3 o'clock position, about even if you do have rubber in the way, that 3 o'clock position right there that I've been using is a good idea. And people notice that because of the fact that that's the only place in that area that seems to want to get in the way. You can tell it's right there. But we can work around that problem because right here there's no problem. It's just mainly that one cylinder in the 3 o'clock position. And even worse if it's offset from the 3 o'clock position, then it's even worse. Notice how it binds even more there and less here. Here it can kind of slip in a little bit. So when you're loading, once again, when you're loading, you want your thumb and your index finger to be on the flutes. But let's see if we can mess it up here by doing it the other way. Okay, here I am. Let's say that I'm not in the 3 o'clock position, but now I'm going to grab the high spots right there. Okay, so notice that is not in the 3 o'clock position where that little divot or what do you call that, crevice or whatever it is there that allows it to go in. So here I am with 357 Magnum. I'm going in. Okay, had some trouble there, and I noticed that something was in this area. So in other words, you want to make sure that you have that 3 o'clock position. But also, like I was saying, is I also have to always constantly remember that when I twist this thing, I got to do it with authority. I can't just be gentle with it. And that's one of the problems I had in the past is I would grab this thing and go like this and just twist it lightly. And then that's the reason why this one is binding. But you have to mean it. You have to mean it when you twist it so you can get it in. So notice they went in with no problem like that. And I'd rather do things the right way than the fast way. Somebody might be able to load this revolver faster than me, but I'm practicing doing it the right way at least 50 times without mistakes with live ammunition so that I know if I get in a situation, I know that I'm going to be able to load the revolver. But not just that, the extraction part. And typically what I do is some people had said something about, well, what happens if you if you have full power 357 and you go for the extraction and they get stuck. Well, that doesn't happen with me, because what I do is often I use rounds that don't stick. But another thing I do is I put Teflon silicone on a Q-tip, Teflon silicone spray. And what I do is I swab out all 5 of these before I leave the house. So if something does happen to one of these Federal 158 grain semi-jacketed soft points where it would get, would expand too much, then I know that I can extract these rounds. And the ones that extract better, the nickel-plated ones like the 38 Special, them extract very nicely. So as long as you prepare yourself before you leave the house, knowing that the cylinder, when you fire these 5 shots, that you're going to be able to extract it, as long as you lube your cylinder before you leave and keep it lubricated in this cylinder and clean, that way you know that the shells, even if they do it overexpand, that they're going to come out. So a lot of people were saying, well, they don't extract very well. Well, that's because you're not cleaning your revolver. A revolver should be cleaned all the time. Anytime you fire this, I don't care if you fire 4 rounds or 5 rounds, just to test it. Anytime you fire this weapon, you must clean the weapon. You must take good care of it. So taking care of the weapon means that it'll take care of you. So you get in a jam, you get in a problem. If you know your firearm very well and you know that it's functioning 100% and you're doing everything you can to make it function 100%, then it's going to save your life when you need it. And I also lubricate the revolver right in this area here, so that when I hit this release here, I'll have a little bit of lubrication there. So when I hit this and the cylinder comes out right here, I got a little bit of lube down in there so that I can get it out and it can come out quickly and not get bound up in there. So a lot of things you can do, but the thing is, the most important thing is taking care of it and not abusing it by swinging. Do that movie thing where they swing the cylinder and it hits right here, your lockup right here, chipping that lockup right in there. If you do that on a big 500 Smith & Wesson, if you mess up something like that, you're gonna be sorry if you fire that weapon and it blows up in your face. So you don't want to be doing any of that. Even if these little ones can handle it, I wouldn't do it. So I would just push it in right here by the crane. Some people call that the crane. I would just push it in like that. And obviously, if you're in a defense situation, yeah, you might go like this, really quick or whatever. But the thing is that you want to take care of the revolver. You don't want to mess it up, okay? Another reason why you want to clean your revolver is because sometimes shells, if you have dirty cylinders or dirty holes, sometimes shells, what they'll do is they'll stick out a little bit like this while you're firing. And the shell is dragging on the face right here. And when the shell is dragging on the face right here, then the pawl, or the hand, which is right here, the thing that moves the pawl right here, that moves the ratchet part right here, what happens is it creates stress. So when it pushes this, it creates stress because this shell is dragging on the face right here. So that's why you want to clean your revolver. A lot of guys, they'll let the revolvers get all dirty and they don't know it, but when they load their shells, what'll happen is sometimes the rounds will be set back a little bit like this. And what that's doing is that's causing stress by dragging on the face right here. That's causing stress. So that when you pull the trigger now that little pawl right here, that thing that comes out and turns the ratchet, is under a lot of stress, which means when it's hitting this ratchet part and turning it, what that means is that eventually you could wear that out so bad that your timing is bad and your cylinders or your holes won't line up. Well, the cylinder is this part right here, but the holes are here. You know what I'm saying? But if you abuse the revolver, then when this ratchet is turning by the pawl, sometimes the pawl is so damaged that you won't get the holes to line up with the bore. So, but But anyway, enough said. I probably was chasing a rabbit here and going off the deep end on some other subject, but I just wanted to tell you guys that about this revolver, or if you have one similar to it, and the HKS speed loaders or whatever. But anyway, thanks for watching.